Welcome to the Riedell Report, brought to you by College Baseball Central, bringing you 90 feet closer to the greatest show on dirt. Now, here's your host.
Welcome back, College Baseball Central. Welcome back, College Baseball Central fans. My golly, I don't know how to speak. After we had a little hiatus Thursday night due to me being in a different area code, we are back. My name is Andrew Riedell. If this is your first time joining the Riedell Report, which I doubt it is. Just like saying that. Welcome back to the Riedell Report. My name is Andrew Riedell. Thank you for tuning in on this beautiful Monday evening, wherever you are. Hopefully it is beautiful where you are, where we had a very eventful weekend of college baseball. We had our first coaching firing, or not coaching firing. We had our first coaching change of the season in the SEC of all places. We're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about, of course, the plethora of the show, mid-majors. We didn't have anything to preview this week or this last week, but I did say that I had a bunch of series that I was looking forward to. So we're going to talk about those. We're going to talk hot boards for South Carolina. We're going to talk my first two power rankings for the Sun Belt and the American. I think every week we're going to do a different ranking, but I would like to do the American and Sun Belt first. We had some news in the American today where they are changing their tournament format, it seems. It's not seems, I'm the one that reported it, but some coaches don't know if that was happening or not. I broke the news to them as well. But here we are on this beautiful Monday evening. I hope you had a wonderful weekend watching college baseball as much as I did. I love watching college baseball. I was finishing on my notes. My other screen went out. But let's jump into it on this beautiful Monday evening. Let me get a little swig of water here. Excuse me, sorry. As you see, I changed in the headphones. Going with the headphones tonight, no microphone. So hopefully you can hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. I think we're doing two shows at one time here on we might be doing two shows at once here at College Baseball Central as let me see if Southern Fried is still. Yeah, Southern Fried's still live. Just means less is live. I mean, you thought you reserved a time slot. You think people would abide by it, but who cares? Let's start off with it. We're going to jump right into it with my top 25 here. Of course, my top 25 is, again, like, people just get mad at me. I can't win with you people, especially you SEC folks. My top 25 goes UCLA at number 1, Texas at number 2. I tweeted out at midnight last night, of course, at midnight. Which team in the country deserves to be the number 1 team in the country? I went with UCLA. A couple of my buddies at CBC went with Texas at number 1, including Jake McKeever and Micah Butel. Texas going number 2, in my opinion. I think if they swept, they would have had a legitimate argument to go 1. But again, it's tough to make an argument for both teams being the number 1 team in the country right now. I think both teams are really good, and they're both Omaha bound. Number 3, I have Georgia Tech staying in that 3. Same with Mississippi State, staying in that 3 and 4. For me, I move FSU and Georgia up into 5 and 6. FSU really impressed me. They dropped game 1 to NC State, who is a very good squad. I moved them down to 14. But FSU, I'm very impressed with their pitching rotation. They bounced back after dropping Friday, and then they just absolutely splatter all over NC State. Georgia, they go into College Station. Take 2 out of 3, get run ruled on Sunday. Who cares? You won a SEC Road Series. You did your job. Auburn dropped 2 out of 3 and probably the biggest or most attended weekend at Plainsman Park. I mean, I had them top 5, I believe, last week. I don't want to drop them down that much. Arkansas, I move up to 8. Congrats. You took 2 out of 3 from South Carolina. And I get it. It was a weekend in the SEC where you took 2 out of 3. You were not the better team on Saturday or Sunday, in my opinion. Hot take there. Virginia at 9. Virginia took care of business again this weekend. that's a good Wake Forest team. They welcomed in the offense going. Kyle Johnson got back on the mound. That was very fun to see. Oklahoma at 10. You take 2 out of 3 at LSU. You deserve to be in my top 10. Southern Miss at 11. I think I moved them down, actually, where I had them last week. But Southern Miss takes 2 out of 3 from Troy. They dropped Friday, but Southern Miss does their job, taking 2 out of 3 against a very good Troy team. UNC, a.k.a. UNC. UNC, again, they took care of business. Louisville's a very good squad, in my opinion. So obviously, Zion Rose is back in that lineup for Louisville. So they gave UNC a good run for their money this weekend. Southern California, I move into my top 15. Officially, I think I had them at 15 last week. They're at 13. I really wanted to move them into my top 10 because the way they've been going, they deserve to be in my top 10 right now. But it's just tough. And Matt Grissom tweeted out today saying 1 through 15, like, yes, there's a certain way 1 through 15 should go. 16 to 25 can go any way. And we're about to go into that. We already talked NC State, dropped 2 out of 3. I still think they're a good team, but that was a challenge at FSU. Let's see how they rebound this week. Oregon State, they're taking care of business again. It feels like they're just back to normal. Coastal, I think Coastal is going to be a top 12 team here in a minute. Coastal's offense is rolling. They absolutely beat the brakes off of was it Appalachian State? They beat the brakes off of this weekend. Let me check that. I think they beat the brakes off of them. It was James Madison they beat the brakes off of. They had Appalachian State last week. They beat the brakes off of James Madison, where they only played 21 innings. And you hate those kind of games if you're a pitcher, where you only play 21 innings instead of the promised 27 innings. So, yeah, as a pitcher, you're kind of sitting there like, oh, yay, the offense is doing great. Okay, yay, pitching's not giving up a lot of runs. But, damn, I kind of want to throw in the 8th or 9th. But Coastal Carolina beats the brakes off of JMU. Oregon at 17. They dropped 1 in that Northwestern series, but I mean they take care of business again. Big Ten series. West Virginia, I moved them into the top 20 in the top 20 now. Every time I turn on this West Virginia or to watch a West Virginia game, it just feels like that offense is rolling, and the pitching stepping up more and more and more. Arizona State, same thing. Take 2 out of 3 against Kansas State. I feel like they should have swept them. And they get their asses handed to them yesterday. Whoops. Ole Miss enters at 20 for me. I saw some people putting them at 19 and above. I don't know. You take 2 out of 3 from a very good Kentucky team. That's all you can do at home. That's very good. You're going to get Kate Townsend back on the mound, hopefully this weekend from what I've heard, going into that Egg Bowl. Is it the Egg Bowl? Yeah, it's the Egg Bowl. Egg Bowl baseball version. So good on Ole Miss. Kentucky, you drop a tough one to Ole Miss, whatever. Take it on the chin. You're still a very good team, in my opinion. USF enters no, they don't. They were in my top 25 last week. They move up to 22. I think the Chanis has his team like rolling. UCF, their neighbors, they took 2 out of 3 from them. So that's why UCF's behind them, even though UCF is off to a 5-1 start in Big 12 play. I'm going to go see UCF this weekend against Arizona. I'm very excited about that. UTSA re-enters my top 25 at 24. I think this UTSA team is one of the best offenses in the country, and I think they're just going to get better and better. And then Jacksonville State, I think I messed up on this one, and I didn't even put them in my considered. I would have gone Notre Dame or Cincinnati in that one. That is my fault. But I dropped out Louisiana, Arkansas State, Florida, and Clemson. Clemson gets swept at Notre Dame. That's why I'm considered Notre Dame. Louisiana gets swept at Texas State. Arkansas State drops the series, I believe. Or they didn't get swept, but I know they did drop the series. And Florida gets swept at Alabama. Alabama's first win against the Gators since 2008. I mean, good for Rob Vaughn and this Alabama team. I think this team's trending in the right direction. I consider Boston College. I think this team's the real deal. I'm going to spoil it a little. Boston College is my team of the week. Boston College really took care of business last week. They're 5-0 last week, and they're just getting it better and better and better. They got a very good one against Northeastern tomorrow. Tennessee, yeah, I consider them. I mean, you drop Friday night to Missouri, then you win the next two. You won an SEC series. The bats are still a little hit or miss, it feels like. It feels like Missouri really could have taken that series, but I think Tennessee will find their way in my top 25 sooner or later. Notre Dame just went over them. I consider Miami. They swept Creighton. The offense got going again. And once, what's that saying? As it seems you lost me, they pull me right back in, whatever that is. But yes. But that is my top 25. But let's get into the big breaking news that this weekend reported here at College Baseball Central, and of course, at every major college outlet. South Carolina parts ways with Paul Mainieri. Paul Mainieri in his 2 seasons at South Carolina, 40-40, and he went a whopping 6-28 in the SEC. It looked there was still no official terminology on if they parted ways or not. I think they did part ways. He stepped down. He doesn't get, or the South Carolina doesn't have to pay him anything. But 40-40 in 2 seasons, 6-28 in the SEC. Paul Mainieri is officially done coaching college baseball, and he said in his statement, kind of when you think of that quote, I thought of the Tom Brady on the beach saying, "I'm retiring for good." But I made a little hot board here. I mean, some of the names you've already heard of being mentioned and thrown around in these topics. I reached out to a few people around the country in the SEC that I spitball these names to them, and they said yay or nay. And most of them were yays. That's why they're on this board. Obviously, the favorite for this job is going to be Kevin Schnall. Let's get that. The favorite in the clubhouse is Kevin Schnall. Obviously, he is... I mean, I don't know where he's from. He's from Pennsylvania, but he played at Coastal. He's obviously the head coach there. He's led them to the College World Series runner-up last year, and then in 2016, as assistant, he was the assistant to Gary Gilmore in that national championship win against Arizona in 2016. Kevin Schnall's obviously done a phenomenal job. Taking the torch and running with it from Gary Gilmore, and I think if he can go win anywhere, I think if he can win in the Sun Belt, he'll easily win the SEC. He's that guy that lights a fire under you, and you just want to go run through a wall for him. Skylar Meade, the former pitching coach at South Carolina, he was pitching coach till 2021, I believe. That's what it was. I was just looking at it. Till 2021, he was the pitching coach. But then he goes over to Troy, and he's had a winning record in all 4 years since taking over. 148 and 89 is Meade in his 4 years at Troy. Obviously, I think his name's thrown into this because of his record his record from South Carolina. Obviously, he's been on an upward trend where it feels like no matter what, Skylar Meade's next head coaching job will be a power forward job. And I think he's probably the second favorite for this job. Dan Fitzgerald, I don't think he would be my third favorite, but I put Dan Fitzgerald here, 114 and 80 at Kansas. Since he's taken over, mostly known as a JUCO head coach before getting stops at Dallas Baptist and LSU, working with Dan Hefner and Jay Johnson, obviously. He's done a phenomenal job at Kansas since stepping in 2023. This is his 4th year at Kansas. I think he'll be a phenomenal head coach candidate. And again, the same thing. I feel like if he leaves Big 12 Kansas, he's leaving it for an SEC caliber job. Fitzgerald interviewed for the Mississippi State job last year, and I feel like people don't realize that if Brian O'Connor wasn't hired, this would probably be the guy we're talking about at Mississippi State right now. Mitch Hanna's. I add Mitch Hanna's here, the USF head coach, because of the job that he's done at USF already. He's a little older. I think he's 68 years old. 669 career wins at the college level at Indiana State and at USF. I think this is a good hire if they do make it because of his track record of winning. But I think Mitch Hannes is a proven winner, and this would be a slam dunk hire, even despite the age. You give him the resources, and it's not like, oh, you're hiring a Maneri 2.0. No, you're trending in the right direction. Nolan Kane, one of the best, not one of the best, the best recruiter in the SEC. The best assistant recruiter in the SEC, Nolan Kane. It probably goes Nolan Kane 1, Josh Jordan 2. Nolan Kane has experience recruiting in the SEC, obviously. He's had stops. I mean, it feels like everywhere. It feels like Texas A&M, LSU, Texas A&M, and Texas, as well, with experience in the Tigers organization. Obviously, there'd be a big question mark with Kane's first head coaching job coming at an SEC like South Carolina. But, I mean, you look at his references where he would get a reference from Paul Maneri. He would get a reference from Jim Schlossnagle. He would get a reference. Like, just because he played under Maneri and he is a Maneri disciple, I guess you can say in that way, Nolan Kane's a proven developer and recruiter. He's recruited guys like Dylan Cruz, Jake Fraley, Jaden Hill, and Josh Smith to LSU, and then obviously those guys at Texas A&M in his 3 years there, and then obviously the job he's done at Texas with Jim Schlossnagle has been phenomenal already. Robert Woodard, it's weird that I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3 I got 4 group of 5 or mid-major coaches. Robert Woodard, I put on this list because in the back of my head, I feel like this is the hire South Carolina makes. I think this is the hire South Carolina makes. 181 and 135 in his first few years at UNC Charlotte. And there's a big thing here. If you follow Division I softball, Coach Woodard's wife is the head coach at South Carolina. So would it be fitting for Woodard to just be the head coach there? Would it be easier for him? I think Woodard's one of the best pitching minds in the college baseball game. I think he would be a phenomenal head coach at a Power 4 school. He's had opportunities he's obviously got experience at UNC. So going from UNC to UNC Charlotte to South Carolina would be a phenomenal fit. And he'd be able to bring in some very smart pitching minds with more resources than he has at UNC Charlotte. Of course, you got to include Monty Lee, the interim head coach, 5'18", 281, with stops at Charleston and Clemson. I texted Jake McKeever, this host of Southern Fried Baseball, and one of our great contributors here at College Baseball Central. I said, what would you think if Monty Lee fucks around and finds a way to not win out, but goes on a run here with the South Carolina team and fucks around and gets the job here at South Carolina, which I could see definitely happening. Monty Lee is that guy. When you give him the keys to the car, he's going to do a good job with it. Obviously, Clemson things got rocky towards the end, but you can already see that energy change in that South Carolina dugout when he took over on Saturday. There's more excitement there. It felt like well, no, it didn't feel like. There was also rumors that Maneri wasn't letting Monty Lee be as hands-on as possible with the offense. So it feels like now that he has the keys to the offense, he's going to be more hands-on now. And then Chris Lemonis, I throw in Chris Lemonis here, acting like he's not going to be the next head coach at Indiana. I think he will be the next head coach at a Big Ten school, though. I add Lemonis in because he is a SEC boy. He was the former head coach at Mississippi State. He's well known in the SEC. He has success in the SEC. I think he'll be a very good fit at any SEC school again. I am going to throw one wild card out here. South Carolina's new athletic director is I got to look this up again. Jeremiah Donati. Donati. His hire, Donati, worked at TCU. TCU, Kirk Saarloos. Could Kirk Saarloos maybe be a possible wild card if things don't go well this year at TCU? If something doesn't go right at TCU this year, could Kirk be looking for a way out? Yeah, Big 12 to the SEC is a promotion, if anything. But you could maybe see Saarloos get a little promotion here to the SEC. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying maybe look out for that as a wild card. But that being that, let's move on into our show. I mean, well, before I move on, let me make this clear. I think the South Carolina team is still good. I don't think they're great. I think they still got a lot to prove with. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, oh, you got a lot of time. Like, no, you got like a month and a half left in the season. The season goes quickly, folks. We're in week 6 now. The season goes quickly. It feels like the pitching. I mean, Alex Phillippett's back. He can maybe work his way into the rotation. If you have a rotation of Josh Gunther, Ant Phillips, and Phillippett, like that could compete at the SEC level. But that bullpen's still a little messy. It feels like the only reliable arm out of that bullpen is Alex Valentine. And I mean, they could have taken 2 out of 3 from South Carolina. They lose that game on Saturday 3-2 because of a throwing error by KJ Scobie. And then Arkansas pulls away late. But then that offense looked really good yesterday. So I think this this new look South Carolina team could look very, very good. Well, let's move on. Of course, we're talking mid-majors. So we're going to move on to our notable series for this week. I was at UTSA and FAU yesterday, where Drew Detlefson led that team to an 18-8 win over FAU. I mean, this was a very good. If you watch mid-majors baseball like I do, you really watched every minute of this series. UTSA gets to James Littman and Zach Kilby on Friday to get that game 1 win. And then FAU, they fight back. They fight back in game 2, winning game 2 on a wild pitch. Or not, was it a wild pitch? Yeah, it was a wild pitch. I got to think about being a scorekeeper. It was a wild pitch on Saturday. They win that 7-6. Not on a walk-off, but a Kide out of 2A pitched phenomenal again. It feels like he's just taken that Saturday spot for FAU, and he's ran with it. Kide went 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned, struck out 9. But it feels like he's just getting better and better. In outings already this year against teams that have appeared in the top 25. Notre Dame, 3 innings, 5 Ks. Missouri's not a top 25 team, but they're an SEC opponent. 5 1/3, 4 Ks, only 2 earned. Miami, Florida, 5 innings, 10 Ks. Florida, 4 innings, 6 Ks. And then UMBC and UTSA these last 2 weekends, he's been nothing but lights out. So, UTSA, I think it's so tough in the American, but I think UTSA is one of the best teams in the American. I think it's like a nail biter between UTSA and USF right now. And then for FAU, it's still, you got some question marks on this pitching side. FAU, they've struggled on the pitching side. It feels like outside of James Littman and Kide, but Tyler Murphy hasn't been everything you've asked for. Garrett Grant has started to come back to earth after having a freshman hurrah to start the year. Multiple pitching guys haven't just looked good. Riley Whitmere hasn't looked good. Kilby hasn't looked that great. Brian Boley hasn't looked that great. But the offense, like Marshall Lipsy went into this year being a candidate for an All-American, an All-American candidate, but also the American Player of the Year candidate. And he's suddenly hitting 9th for the Owls because he's hitting 250. His approach at the plate it looks off, and I just don't know what to happen, or what can we see from Lipsy to get this lineup going. John Martinez has looked good for the FAU Owls. Brandon Leroy. I mean, I forgot the big one. Two-way athlete Kyle Boylston. He's looked phenomenal. He plays football and baseball there. He's been phenomenal. But then it's like you just ran into a team looking for a big series win to start conference play, and UTSA got that. FAU moves on. They get Rice next week, so it feels like next week they should bounce back. But again, Rice stuck around with USF this week. Took that Friday game. Obviously, they dropped the next two, but Rice stuck around with USF this week. I wouldn't be surprised if Rice takes 2 out of 3 from FAU this week. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if FAU just comes in and kicks their butt. So, Wichita State takes 2 out of 3 from Charlotte. In the back of my head, I've been thinking, Wichita State's going to get exposed. They're going to get exposed. They scheduled some really bad opponents to start the year. Nope. I think they might be legit. They take 2 out of 3 from UNC Charlotte. We just talked about Charlotte with Robert Woodard. They get some very phenomenal pitching outings. Brady Paca in game 1 getting a 4-inning save, 4 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned, 3 Ks, and then Johnny Nuanez, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 6 Ks on Sunday. Owen Washburn, 2 RBI double on Sunday as well to pull away from Charlotte. Charlotte, I had as a top 3 team in the American, and it feels like this UNC pitching staff, or the Charlotte pitching staff, just hasn't been the greatest this year. It feels like they've been battling a little, just not imposter syndrome, but just trying to find click and pieces with some guys in that lineup. So that sucks. I'm sorry, my JV team lost. Yeah, we're talking JV baseball here on my show lately, folks. Okay. But yeah, Wichita State gets a big series win to start off American Conference play. And I'll be upfront. I thought Wichita State, this is a team that replaced, 30 of their players. This is a whole new roster, folks. They return only a handful of guys, Brady Hamilton being one of those guys on the bump coming back for Wichita State. But it feels like Wichita State might be legit, and I'm excited to see this team continue its trend. Charlotte, on the other hand, the pitching's going to get better, I think. I keep on telling myself that. The offense is there. The offense keeps on producing because it will put up games like this on Saturday where they put up 19 runs. VCU takes 2 out of 3 from Dayton. I mean, the storylines here were just Jacob Lee. Little spoiler here. My player of the week, 7 for 13. He had 4 RBIs, a home run, and 2 doubles on Friday in that 10-run rule win against Dayton, and then 2 for 4, 2 RBIs on Sunday. They lost that game, but still a very good weekend for Jacob Lee, who is the heart. Whenever Monty Taylor talks about him, he makes it look like he's the heart and soul of that VCU team. I should ask him about it, but I'm not right now. I've been very impressed with VCU this year. A little quiet in the A-10 because the A-10, a lot of those teams got to come south to start the year, so they got to play a little bit stronger opponents. But I think VCU is going to be in the top of the A-10 this year, and I'm very excited to see how Jacob Lee and that team progresses going forward. Last but not least, an upset, not on Hawaiian time, but on the mainland. In Santa Barbara, California, Hawaii takes 2 out of 3, where Hawaii, it feels like we talk about Hawaii a lot on the show. I mentioned it on Monday last week. This show could be I'm going to add Hawaii, Missouri State, UTSA, those 3. This could be a fan podcast for those shows because we talk so much about Hawaii and how phenomenal this Hawaii pitching staff has been. Isaiah Magdaleno, he outshined. No, he didn't outshine Jackson Flora. Flora still went. Okay, it was a pitching duel. Let's just say that. Isaiah Magdaleno and Jackson Flora were just phenomenal. A combined 15 innings, 18 strikeouts, 12 of them coming from Flora. 7 innings, 1 hit, 0 earned, and 12 strikeouts for Flora. That's one as a pitcher where you just sit in your dugout and just like, fuck. I can't believe we lost that game. Cole Triba blows the save in the 9th, giving up it was a pickoff, huh? Yeah, it was a pickoff, steal the home. They stole home on a Friday night to tie the game, and then who was it? Elijah Ikes singled to put that one away, and then obviously John Alcree gets the save for Hawaii, and then again pitching was all you can talk about for Hawaii this year. Hakele Robello, 8 1/3, 3 hits, 8 Ks for the Rainbow Warriors to take. I mean, this is an upset, folks, at the mid-major level. Nathan Aceves was phenomenal again for UC Santa Barbara, though. He's that's probably. I think that is the best 1-2 punch. I mean, you can make an argument with Hakele Robello and Magdaleno, but I think Jackson Flora and Nathan Aceves could be the best 1-2 punch in mid-major baseball in a pitching rotation. Phenomenal work by them this weekend. It just sucks you don't get 2 wins to back up with that. Key offense again. It was just timely hitting and literally stealing home. They stole home in the 7th, and just did they have an RBI this week? They had 2 RBIs this weekend, and then obviously UCSB comes back, and again pitching was the headliner this weekend. Kellen Montgomery was phenomenal Sunday. 5 innings, 1 earned, 2 walks, 4 Ks, and then Van Frawling striking out 6 and 3 2/3 of work for the save. I mean, this is a fun one. It's like you look at Hawaii's record coming into this weekend. They're what? They're 10-9. 10-9. You drop a series at Long Beach State, and then you come back. You bounce back. You take 2 out of 3 from UC Santa Barbara, a very good UC Santa Barbara team. Mind you, UC Santa Barbara is not fizzling out, as someone tried to tell me. They're not fizzling out, but this Hawaii team is they're a very deadly punch. It feels like if the pitching can stay consistent, that's the big thing. If the pitching for this team stays consistent, they'll be fine. If the offense can keep just scraping away runs, I mean, that Cal Poly, I get it. Cal Poly is very good this year. They are every year, but Cal Poly, I mean, you gave up 16, 23 runs to Cal Poly in a weekend. That's not going to get it done. But then these series where you only give up 1, 2, you give up 2 runs in a weekend and you still lose 1 game that weekend. It's crazy. So I'm buying stock in Hawaii right now. If I'm buying stocks right now, I'm buying stock in that Hawaii pitching staff to keep it going, and buying stock in that offense. I mean, Elijah Ikes leading the way at 293. Someone on that offense got to wake up, even if they got to play small ball. Kamana Nahuka has 9 stolen bases. If that's the way they got to get it done, that's the way they got to get it done. Moving on here on the show, let's get into my power rankings, folks. My power rankings. The first one of the year is my favorite conference to talk about is the American Conference. Obviously, 10 teams will come in, and only 8 will make it to Clearwater now. Let's talk about that news I broke today. It seems like that the American Conference will be going to a new 8-team. Well, they already did the 8-team format. They're going to an 8-team format where if you're the 1 or 2 seed, so like hypothetically right here, USF and UTSA would get double buys. They would only need 1 win to get to the championship game. Not 1 win, 2 wins to get to the championship game. ECU and Wichita State would get 1 bye, as Tulane, FAU, Rice, and Charlotte would have to play a single elimination game to enter the double elimination side of the bracket. Very confusing. If you go to look at my tweet, I put up an example of the WCC or the WAC tournament bracket last year. That shows a good way of explaining it. But significant news. I heard the news last year that they're going to change it. I didn't expect it to be official, but the FAU commentators were talking about it yesterday on the show, on their broadcast. And I'm like, wait, they didn't make an announcement. Reached out to some sources and they confirmed it to me. But let's talk about the USF, the league that goes through USF right now. USF is my number one team in the American right now. This USF team is just dangerous. I mean, they have the best freshman arm in the best freshman mid-major arm right now in the country. I think of Michael Sine, who again was phenomenal. Again, I think I'm going to spoil all my awards. He's my pitcher of the week. He went 8 2/3, 9 strikeouts, 0 Ks again against Rice. You dropped that Rice game 1, but then you bounce back and just take care of business. And I mean, that's the definition of this team. They've taken care of business all weekend, or not all weekend, all year long. Take care of business, win 13-3 against Jacksonville last Tuesday. You drop that first game to Rice, but then you only allow 2 more runs that whole entire weekend. Taking care of Rice Saturday 2-0 and winning 7-2 on Sunday. I mean, I've gone on ends to talk about this team. Javon Relaford, he's hitting .347 with 17 stolen bases already. Yeah, I got to double check that. Mitch Hannes is aggressive on the base pass. We've known that, but like this has been phenomenal already. Nathan Early, he's got 2 home runs, 20 RBIs. He's hitting .333. And like they got some quality bats off the bench coming too. They got Matt Rose hitting .321, Juan Correa's hitting .364. The Appalachian State transfer hitting .364. Like they have bats for days. They have excellent depth. Before we move on here, I totally forgot about this. Since we're live, I couldn't forget about it. Let's get to our home field sponsor. Home field sponsors every show here at College Baseball Central are wonderful sponsor at Home Field, going from Arkansas all the way to Vanderbilt, as Matt Grissom will say here in a minute. They have wonderful stuff, even on the American teams, such as Tulane, Memphis, Charlotte, Wichita State, even ECU. Let's hear from our wonderful sponsor here at Home Field.
Before we get back to the action, we've got to tell you about the best gear in college sports. The place to go is Home Field Apparel. Check out the Diamond Classics collection. High-quality throwback jerseys for your favorite team. From the Arkansas Razorbacks to the Vanderbilt Commodores, Home Field has you covered. Home Field's the only apparel partner of College Baseball Central. Gear up for game day by visiting homefieldapparel.com.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Matt, for that wonderful sponsor, Home Field Apparel. I can't wait to get my hands on some home field gear so I can rock. I mean, I can't rock it out to the ballpark, but I can rock it here on the show for y'all because I know y'all love to see my beautiful face. That's a lie. You just come here to listen to me rant about college baseball. And we love that, don't we, Reagan? My beautiful dog, Reagan, is back with me. Get and talk college baseball. Don't worry, this Thursday, we're putting her to the test. We're going to see how many series she can get wrong again. She went 0-4, I think, the week before on the Riedell report. So hopefully Reagan's picks will be back and better than ever. Moving on, after USF, UTSA, they take 2 out of 3 from FAU. They're that number 2, and in my opinion, I think it's not a very wide margin from USF to UTSA, but it's a very wide margin from those two to East Carolina. I think UTSA's offense is one of the best offenses in the country. I think with that pitching, the pitching's going to come together. Connor Kelly, Kendall Dove, they're phenomenal arms. Phenomenal arms. Kendall Dove yesterday showed signs of glimpses of just looking nasty. He looked nasty in the first inning, striking out 2, getting a weak ground out. Then he'd roll over and let FAU score 3 runs. So it felt like Jekyll and Hyde right there. So UTSA is my number 2. I think that offense is going to just keep rolling. Pitching, I think, is going to just get better and better as well. East Carolina's at number 3. They've battled some injuries now on the pitching front. Ethan Norby's been up and down as well. I still think this East Carolina team's a very young team. They're a bunch of sophomores now, it feels like, but Braden Burris is one of the best bats in the American. I think they'll get running here in a minute. Wichita State enters at 4. If you notice here, I just have all the winning teams that won this series on the left and all the losers on the right. Tulane Wichita State, we talked about them. A whole new team. Brian Green has done a phenomenal job there. I think he's really in the running to win the American Head Coach of the Year award because of a job he's done this year so far. Tulane is at 5. They take 2 out of 3 from Memphis, where it feels like they should have swept them. They played a West Coast style of baseball this weekend. They bunted, and bunted some more until Memphis said, please stop bunting. And then they bunted some more. Tulane did a phenomenal job on responding Saturday and Sunday. But it's not inexcusable to lose a game to Memphis. But it feels like if you're this Tulane team where you sit at 13-12, you can't be losing that game to Tulane. Sahajic's kind of struggled now out of the gate. 5 innings, 5 earned, 5 strikeouts, and just they struggled. Will Howell had a very good outing for Memphis, 5 2/3, 4 earned, 5 Ks, and then the bullpen just was able to shut them down. Someone on this Tulane offense outside of Jason Wax and Nate Johnson have to get it going here. And I think we saw that a little yesterday, winning that game 12-2 in 8 innings, where they scored 6 runs to walk it off. Where we did see, who was it? Trent Lialos finally get it going. Jason Wax, obviously, he's a hit machine. Kakia Harrison, hit machine as well. Nate Johnson, 3 for 5, just phenomenal. And then JD Rodriguez getting the start. Him and Jude Abadesa, both going 3 1/3, only allowing 1 earned, and then just being lights out of the bullpen. FAU is my 6th team because it felt like if the closest team to winning a series this week was FAU. They dropped that game 1 on Friday. We've already talked about FAU a lot this episode or this show, but we're going to talk about them some more. FAU is a very good team, in my opinion. I think Coach John McCormack is getting this team trending in the right direction. That's why this FAU team, I get to see them a lot, but this FAU team makes me believe there could be a 2-bid American this year. That's all I'll say. I think this pitching staff is trending in the right direction. Bystock and James Littman before he's gone. Kide out at 2A, one of the best lefties in the country, and then they're just going to get better and better and better. When they figure out this pitching and this offense at the same time, they are a dangerous, dangerous team. The Rice Owls, Bystock with David Pierce. That's all I'm going to say. They're phenomenal. They took that Friday night, a game against USF, and they got me thinking they can fuck around and maybe make some noise here in the American. Charlotte, I put Charlotte at 8. Again, pitching concerns got me a little concerned. That's it. UAB at 9 and Memphis at 10. Not really. When I made my rankings for the Diamond Report, that's where I had UAB and Memphis, I believe. I don't know. I actually had Wichita State at 10, but UAB and Memphis. I think UAB is a very good team, and it sucks that it can never get things rolling together. They had the pieces, in my opinion, and it sounds crazy saying that, but I think UAB could be a very good team. They all clicked at the same time. It's like a dime. Right, Reagan? Yes, right. Next up on the Riedell Report is the first ever Sun Belt rankings. The Sun Belt, Fun Belt. Put your hands up if you like fun. Woo! We're going crazy here on a Monday night in Florida. I pray that my kids aren't watching this. I coach a high school baseball team, if you know this. I pray they don't watch this. I pray that they didn't. Who cares? They should be asleep, it feels like. It's what? 8:45. They should not be asleep. Obviously, Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina lead the way here at 1 and 2. My hot take is Coastal Carolina is closer to 1 than USM, or Coastal Carolina is closer to 1 than what more people think, I feel like. And then it really stinks with Arkansas State and Louisiana dropping their series this week. I think South Alabama is a very good team as well. So don't sleep on the Jaguars from South Alabama. And don't sleep on the Bobcats from Texas State. Texas State sweeping through Louisiana Lafayette this week. This is a team decimated by the portal last year, but they're trending in the right direction as well. Louisiana, I think they just had one bad weekend in Texas State, of all places. Again, I think they're going to be trending in the right direction. Troy is my number 7 team. They take Friday night in Southern Miss. Again, I think it's a very good team. Just dropped Saturday and Sunday at a tough opponent. ULM and Marshall. It's weird having these teams ranked 8th and 9th in my rankings because they have winning records in conference play. It just happens to be you played Georgia State and Georgia Southern for your first 2 conference weekends. So I like, as much as I didn't want to punish them for that, I had to punish them. James Madison, they got absolutely obliterated by Coastal Carolina this weekend. Feels like they should be lower, but I'm not going to punish them that much. App State, they've struggled a little. The offense, I'm going to give a shout out to Riley Luft. Riley Luft's one of their better hitters on that team, but just been struggling out of the gate there as well. Old Dominion, actually, did they win there? No. No, they've struggled as well. They just dropped. I don't really care about the cookies. Schedule. They're 11-11, 2-4 in conference. They actually just dropped 2 out of 3 from App State, and those were App State's first 2 wins, I believe, in conference play. Oh wait, no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, they do the weird conference. Yeah. Okay. Georgia State and Georgia Southern. It feels like those guys. I got to see Georgia Southern in the fall, and I could have told you their pitching was going to struggle all year long. Same with Georgia State. Georgia State, it feels like they're still a year or 2 away from competing in the Sun Belt. I don't know if there will be a coaching changer there somewhere, but I pray there's not, because that means there's going to be a heavy turnover in the roster. And I've seen both these teams compete, and I think they have the talent there. It just needs to click one day at a time. So we kind of blew through those, but let's talk about this top 7 here quickly again. Arkansas State, I still think Arkansas State is a very good team. Just because they had one bad, tough weekend, I'm going to feel really bad if I did. I think they did drop that. No, they did drop their series to Georgia State, and here I did ranking them 13. But yeah, I can't even say going into Atlanta to they go into Atlanta as a tough place. But I mean, I was very disappointed to see that midweek postponed. But it feels like you ride the high of taking 2 out of 3 from Southern Miss, and then you kind of just reality hits you again. And it's right back to reality. I still think this Arkansas State team is very good. I think they keep it going in the right direction. I mean, the offense exploded and then the pitching deploded. So that's it from me about that. Let's get into my players of the week. The first one we're going to go into is my player of the week. I already mentioned all 3 of them to you. It's Jacob Lee is my player of the week from Virginia Commonwealth University. We mentioned it against Dayton. 4-6 on 4-4-6 on Friday with 4 RBIs, a home run, and 2 doubles. That home run was not a grand slam. Trust me, I would have loved to type in grand slam. He went 1 for 3 on Saturday, and then 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs on Sunday. Jacob Lee is this heartbeat of this VCU team. Jacob Lee is he's only a sophomore, and he's already doing such phenomenal things. He's already a top 10 catcher in the sport of college baseball already. That's how crazy it feels. He's hitting .306 with 4 home runs and 20 RBIs already, but the fielding is crazy as well. He's already caught 2 stolen bases, or 2 guys on stolen bases. He's a wall back there, coming off a 17 home run season. The power numbers aren't generating yet, but going into A10 play, I can see that continuing here. He's hitting a lot more doubles, and I think he's going to be a star in the making. And I don't want to say this, but he will be catching somewhere new next year. I don't know if he's a draft eligible senior or sophomore. He's not a draft eligible sophomore, but he will probably be getting he'll probably get some money to transfer to an SEC ACC school next year. Jacob Lee is my player of the week from VCU. And we already mentioned my pitcher of the week, Michael Sane, USF's true freshman pitcher, which this kid has been nothing but filthy to start off the year. He is back-to-back American Pitcher of the Week. Went 8 2/3 against Rice this past weekend. Strikeout 9, no runs allowed. His ERA this season is now below 0.7, mind you. He's got an ERA of 0.68 with 35 strikeouts and only 5 walks. Hitters are hitting 23. I'm trying to do quick math. I'm not going to be able to do that. But they're hitting probably under 200 against him. He's been nothing but phenomenal. A true freshman out of Orlando, Florida. And it feels like UCF's kind of just kicking their butts like, oh my God, they have all their offers from here. He received offers from Florida State, Florida, UCF, Jacksonville, and Stetson. And he came and he decided to come to Mitch Hannes here at USF, and he's been nothing but lights out so far. I said I would replace my freshman of the year for the American with Garrett Grant. Michael Sine's running away with that. He is running away with that so far. And then last but not least is my team of the week, and that is, if I can find it, I didn't put it on my StreamYard for the episode, it seems like, but here they are, the Boston College Bird Ball with Coach Todd Interdato. We love some good bird ball here at the Riedell Report, and if you're asking who else is here with me, it's just me and Reagan. We love some good bird ball. They went 5-0 last week, including a 3-game sweep of Cal at home, and bird ball is at an all-time high. 5-0 last week, scoring a whopping 17, 21, 30, 33 runs this last week against some California is not the best team, but they are a very sleeper, under the radar team, but taking care of business as usual. Leading the way on the mound. AJ Colarusa and then Cesar Gonzalez, a 2-way star from Venezuela, but I'm pretty sure he went to high school, or he was in college at Florida. No, he must have played I don't know. But Cesar Gonzalez, he's been phenomenal on the mound and hitting wise for them as well. I got to see this Boston College team a few weeks ago at Miami, and they really, really impressed me. I think they're really impressive, and I think they should be definitely deserving some consideration for top 25 status right now with the way they are playing so far. They keep it going in a conference play next week against. Well, they got this is a very fun midweek actually. They go to Northeastern tomorrow, BC at Northeastern, which I don't know if that game is like a neutral site game where they have it at like Fenway or something, or if it's at Friedman Diamond. Yeah, Friedman Diamond. Either way, it's going to be a fun game. If they put that game on a book, take the fucking over. There's gonna be so many runs scored, I think. And then they play Merrimack on Wednesday before hosting Chris Pollard and Virginia this weekend. And again, another phenomenal weekend of bird ball coming right at you. Let me spit some facts for you about this BC team. Julio Soler is their leading hitter, hitting 370 with 11 stolen bases already. But if you want a Wang Bang, Nick Wang is your guy. He's got 9 home runs, 31 RBIs already. I love me a good Wang Bang, as Monty Taylor explained it to me. he explained it to me in very, very good definition with how good Nick Wang is as their leading home run hitter. Then pitching, obviously, AJ Cole. So you look at these ERAs, they're a little high, but midweeks affect that. Brady Miller is a guy that I'd be wanting to buy stock in. 1.20 ERA and 4 starts for the Eagles this year. 15 innings, 16 Ks. Cesar Gonzalez, probably their top reliever out of the bullpen right now. Him and Drew Grumbles, 2.92 ERA for Grumbles and a 1.32 ERA. Opponents are hitting 224 off of Cesar Gonzalez and 163 off of Grumbles. What a very cool name there. And that will wrap us up, folks. Whew! I needed to get my conditioning back in, as that was my first Riedell report in a week. You got to get your feet wet again, folks. Thank you for all tuning in. We're going to be right back here at this chair Thursday night at 8 p.m. Central to discuss our 5 favorite series. We're going to get Reagan's opinions on all of them. She's asleep right next to me. She's had a long day as well. It was my last day of spring break. So Reagan, I hope you had a very good spring break. But baseball never sleeps. We got a very fun slate of midweek baseball coming at you again tomorrow. We got Coastal Carolina and Clemson tomorrow. Let's before we embark our separate ways. We got Florida and FSU tomorrow. Murray State and Kentucky. Oregon State and USC. That will be a fun one, folks. Ole Miss and Memphis. Texas at Houston. Auburn and South Alabama. If you want a little upset alert, watch out for South Alabama tomorrow. Southern Miss at Mississippi State tomorrow as well. Let's just go to all games. Let's see if I can see anything else. Miami, Ohio, and Dayton. That'll be a fun one in Ohio. I don't know if that BC Northeastern game is a bean pot game. Let me see if did they put anything. I think that is a bean pot game. If you don't know what the bean pot, it's not a bean pot game. Dang it. If you don't know what the bean pot is, it's a Boston tournament where all the schools in Boston play each other. But I don't think that's a bean pot game. Dang it, that's disappointing. I'm looking here. Virginia Tech at East Tennessee State. That's going to be a good one. Coastal and Clemson, we already mentioned. And Bethune-Cookman and Jacksonville, that'll be a good one. FAU goes to Miami. That'll be a fun one as well. Jacksonville State and UAB. That's a fun one. And USF at FGCU. That'll be an even funner one. South Carolina goes to North Carolina. Monty Lee's first road test is a midweek game. TCU at Dallas Baptist. Omaha and Creighton in the backyard of Noah Darling's house. Southeastern Louisiana goes to the Teague to face off with Louisiana, Nebraska, and Kansas State. We are in for a loaded slate, everyone. We just hit the hour mark. My time's off. I'm putting in my time clicker right now, and I'm clocking out for a good night. Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Riedell Report. Again, my name is Andrew Riedell. I love you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. One more midweek, Oklahoma State, Missouri State. Go watch that one. A lot of runs are going to be scored. Good